is Monique Jonet, also known as Diane Franklin. I want you to listen to Bobby and Jason's awesome 80s podcast.
Hey now, we are here live.
Live! That's right, I stick 'em with a pen.
This is lucky number 13, baby.
13-0.
Numero 13.
Ooh,
That's right.
Listen to him.
Well, welcome to Bobby and Jason's awesome 80s podcast.
I am Jason Pasco, and across the desk from me is...
I'm Bobby Catalano in the flesh.
That's right, Roberto Catalano.
Oh, man, today... I'm so excited about today's show.
I'm so excited too.
We have a special guest. I'll tell you about her in a minute, but we want to recap number 12 from last week.
That
was a fun show.
That was a foggy head show, as I'll say.
I mean, we had so much stuff in that show. We went Corey Feldman with his kind of like mental breakdown.
I went back and watched it again, you know. After we talked about it, watching it again, you're just like...
Was it any better?
It's like he practiced dancing by himself with no one give him any critique.
You think he used
in front of a mirror?
A mirror?
That's what he did.
Well, we did that, and then we did the whole Olive Garden deal. Unfortunately, Jason and I have no passes, and it's okay, man. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, and we appreciate your offers out there, but we're going to pass
Oh,
on
and by the way, I'm very excited. Bobby was glitch-free, but guess what? Mr. Pasco had a glitch.
Oh, God.
Do you know what it was?
Well, I would say in high school, my worst course was math.
Okay.
Maybe was I wrong in the numbers with the math?
Well, it's possible you're wrong with the numbers with the Olive Garden math, but for one thing you're definitely wrong was the name of the movie that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie met. You said Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Oh, it's right. Oh, it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Oh.
I know it's a common error, Smith, Jones. I get
Bobby,
it.
I guess you're rubbing off on me.
Listen, I'll let you go this time, but next time I'm going to have to kick that ass. Anyway,
people. Spend too much time in the same room with Bob, and you end up,
this is what
getting
happens.
defective.
My glitches rub off, as you've noticed. So anyway, back to today's show. We have a special guest. She was probably in everybody's top 5 babes of the 80s list.
She was probably also, if you were a young boy at this time, coming into teenage years, one of those, special women.
She's stunning. Her name is Diane Franklin. Many of you probably know her from The Last American Virgin. And also Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead.
John Cusack, which is a cult favorite.
Yes, love Better Off Dead.
What I loved about her in that movie is where she did that cute French accent. Mm-hmm. She played Monique. And she's going to be on the show in a little bit. We're going to have her call in, and we're very excited.
It's going to be really cool. We're going to talk some real 80s stuff.
We're going to get into her life. We're going to see how, she progressed in her career and what she's doing now. So.
But not just that. She's an 80s babe.
She's a babe.
That's right.
She is. She's an 80s babe, and she's still a babe today.
Okay, so I've been excited about this all vacation. Been thinking about it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, a little kid at the circus and all that kind of stuff. So... Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages.
Wait, Jason. This is not the circus. We're about to talk to one of the hottest babes from the 80s.
Do you think it's going to scare her away?
I don't know. Diane, are you there?
Are you there?
I'm there.
Yes!
It worked. You didn't scare her away. Well, welcome to Bobby.
Scary this cat's okay?
Welcome to Bobby and Jason's Awesome 80s podcast. And you know what? You're our first celebrity guest.
I am honored.
Yeah,
That's so totally excellent.
It really is. Exactly.
It's almost like you are my second rite of passage here.
Well, you're on everybody's top 5 babes of the 80s. Probably number 1 on most lists.
Yeah.
You know that.
Aww. That's so sweet. I'm always amazed when people, I'm always amazed. I say this at every interview, but I really mean it. I'm always flattered and amazed that people remember me because, when the 80s were around, people didn't do as much publicity, and we didn't really necessarily talk about, ourselves, because you really wanted to be, watch films and just believe that those people you were watching in those movies were those characters.
Right.
And so today it's so different.
Well,
Everybody wants to know everybody's business, so it's cool. It's different.
You said something in your book. By the way, I read your book, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
You said this, and I love it. You said audiences rooted for me and booed me. They adored me, and they hated me, and wanted to be like me, or they just wanted me. I just thought that was great. That was a great line. It captured it. It really did.
I think, what is interesting is that so many actors, they just want to be loved. And, here's the deal. When, an actor has no choice of how the audience perceives them. You do your work, and if somebody likes you, they're going to like you for their reasons, not
Right.
your reasons. And so I just think it's presumptuous to say that someone's going to, I'm going to be remembered in a certain way. I really kind of just let that up to the audience, and just being remembered is the gift. And so, I think it's just interesting how people, everybody's got their own reason that they're going to remember somebody. So if I can be stuck in your memory for some reason, well, that's good enough for me. That's totally awesome.
And I'm sure it's very interesting when you hear different viewpoints that you probably never even thought of when you see people. Mm-hmm. And it's got to be really, really interesting.
So let's
It is. I have to say, some of the most interesting ones are from women, because from women it's interesting because it depends on what they've seen me in, and I've found some women really loved me in Better Off Dead because I was like this. I reminded them of, I was this girl who was capable and positive, and they saw themselves in my character, and they went I'm like that. I'm not a girly girl. I'm but I'm not super tomboy, but they saw themselves in my role. And then some women are I was so attracted to you.
Hey, that's great. That's great.
That is great.
Right? And then other women were oh, I hated you in that film. You were such a biatch. And,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what
Right?
you're talking. I know where you're going.
We know where you're going with that.
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about Last American Virgin.
Okay.
And great film. I think it was made in 1982, I think.
Virgin, 1982. Yeah, it came out in 1982, and we shot it in 1981.
And you were Karen with a K, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the role. How did you land that role?
Oh my gosh. Such a cool story. It was basically, I was acting for years before, but I had not done any film work. I had done an extra role in a film, but nothing, no words, absolutely none. And so when I went for the audition, it was a last minute audition. And I was actually taking a test at NYU at the time. I was taking a chemistry exam, and I had actually said, I'm not going to the audition. I refused to go on the audition to my manager at the time. And once I saw that test, I went, I have a better chance of becoming a movie star than I do being a chemistry, finding the cure for cancer, seriously, right now. So I raced over to the audition, and then very quickly they said, we want you to come next week to LA and screen test. But the thing about it was that I had been auditioning for years, and I was capable and ready to move on to the next step. And I think it was probably kind of surprising just because I looked so young. I mean, I flew
Right.
to LA and by myself and screen tested, and
By
then they were
yourself.
like, okay, let's shoot it, and I was shooting right away.
Yeah, that takes guts. That takes
really-
guts to go out there and do that.
As a 19-year-old, I think at 19, that's pretty unusual. I mean, I have a daughter who's 20 now, and she would be able to do it, but only because she's seen my life, and I've taken her around to different places, traveled with her. So you really have to be, whether you're 19 or 29, you have to live a little bit of life to go out and to take chances and be adventurous. Do you know what I mean? You gotta
Right.
have that you gotta like that kind of lifestyle.
Well,
Now, when you had the script, and you read the ending of that film,
Oh.
I read that you wanted to change the ending, like you're the director now. Is that true?
My gosh. Okay. Well, first of all, that's one of the things I learned about actresses is you're not the writer. You know, you get a script. It's not a script. It's not a script. But, you know, there's something to be said. And I guess I just respect writers because to me, like when a writer writes something, he writes it for a reason, or at least a good writer writes it for a reason, meaning it's supposed to balance the script. It's supposed to make sense. It's supposed to, you put something at the beginning that later on is paid off at the end, you know? So what happened was when I was at that age and I got the script, obviously my first reaction was, well, that's not going to happen at the end. No, wait, did I just read that? No, that's not, no, we're going to change that. I'm not going to worry about it. When we get to the set, I'll talk to the director and, you know, that won't happen.
Well, you know what?
Funny.
No, you know what? You know what's great? The film, the way the movie ended, that never happens in movies. And I think it's why the movie is so remembered.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons it is remembered. I wrote a book. You read my first book
yes.
about my career and as an actress, and we can talk about that later. It's on Amazon, and my first book did it, but now I have another book that's coming out, and the thing is, it should have been out in August, but my editor's had it for a while. He loves it, and I'm so excited. I just got back to me. So my guess is it's going to be out at the end of October or November because I just got to get it out. But
awesome.
I'm just, you know, it's the finishing touches. But the whole thing about it is, this new book, I bring it up, this issue where, you know, the ending of Last American Virgin is not an American ending. It's a European ending. The Boaz Davidson, who is an Israeli director, and Menachem and Yoram Golan and Globus, who produced the film, are Israeli. So when it was a story and it was based on Boaz Davidson's life, who grew up in Israel. So that sensibility was like, this is what it's like, and reality. We have to learn reality teaches us lessons in life, and we have to be as real as possible. Which, as an American actress, you're trained to be honest and real. So when you look at a script and it's that real, you're going, oh, okay, I'm going to just do this. This is the way it's reality. But America is used to happy endings.
Right.
And so that's
true.
why I think it make everyone crazy, because it has the word American in the title. So everyone's expecting this, happy ending with these happy American teens, and it's not happy. And it throws everybody for a loop.
What a thing to learn, though, right there at the beginning of your career, though. What a great, you know.
You know, the end scene with you and Rick, and you're on his, I think your head's on his shoulder, and that look that you give the camera. Oh. I don't know. What motivated you in that scene? Because you had that tear going. You did it perfect.
Well, when the thing that happened, and I think I love Virgin. I just love that film. And what happened was because of the ending, and I'm backtracking, but because of the way it ended, I had to figure out and rationalize, why would I do this? Why would this character do it? And for me, when I did it, I really felt like I, as myself, wouldn't do that, only under the circumstance of being a person who's doesn't have a center. As a girl who's like sort of flies with the wind, goes. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. If somebody else is nice to me, I go to them. So it's sort of like I didn't have a center. So, but one of the things I did want to do was I had my first love. I fell in love with this guy when I was 18, and I was so in love with him. I mean, to marry him, it was so heart-wrenching. And so when we broke up, and actually I broke up with him because I wanted to have a career. So it is kind of like Karen, if you think about it. It was kind of like, you know, it was heart-wrenching. It was horrible.
Karen.
Yeah. So when I did this film, it was kind of like an ode to him. So the last scene was kind of thinking about him and going, you know, I as much as I love you, this is not the right timing. It's just not the right timing.
I felt so bad for Gary.
See?
I felt so bad for Gary.
Yeah, poor Gary.
I feel bad for Gary
Sorry.
today.
And, it's true. Like, guys and people fall in love, but if the timing isn't right, I think it's more painful than if somebody cheated on you. Do you know what I mean? Someone cheats on you, you can hate them. But if they don't, and it's not the right timing, oh my gosh.
How do you find the reason for that? How do you, like, I know what you're saying. Like, if somebody cheats on you, you got a reason. But if they leave, you can't compute,
Yeah. No, you can't, you wrap it around your head. You're like, I don't understand, because one person can be ready, for a deeper relationship and the other person may not be. What do you do? What do you do about that, right?
Well, you showed it. You showed what you do.
You did.
Thank you. And you know what? I'm so grateful that it's on film because it was so deep. It meant so much to me. And I always think, as an actor, like when you perform something that if it's real and it's deep, it should be shared. Do you know what I mean? It should be shared with people. If it's something, I think that's why, like, there's some great acting moments with people because really great actors give of themselves. You have to.
And you have definitely given in your movies, I'll tell you. But tell us a little bit about the book. What motivated you to write the book?
You liked 80s movies and you liked the movies I was in, but you just like 80s films. Or do you even want to know, how does a person who's just like a regular, normal person wind up starring in a movie? How does that even happen? How do you get there? And it's just such a cool book. And then even if you're just interested in what was it like in the 80s? What was the speech like? What did it feel like? I mean, this book I took such care of making it feel like when you read it, you're in the 80s. The words, the dialogue, the conversation, it's like you're sitting at Starbucks with me and we're talking for like 2 hours. I'm telling you about my life in the 80s. So that's what the first book is about. It's the Excellent Adventures. And then, so it's a great book for people who just want to go down memory lane.
I could vouch for it because I actually picked this book up on Amazon a couple of weeks ago and I read it, and it's a great read. Like you said, it covers your childhood. I remember you said something about a hamster that you had with one eye.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any hamsters today?
Yeah, a little bit of my childhood.
The one-eyed hamster.
Fluffy, yeah.
Fluffy.
And you know what else I enjoyed? You talked about your childhood and the support that your mom especially gave you. And that.
Well, both my parents were very supportive, but I'd have to say my mom was the one who physically took me to the auditions when I was younger. And she really helped me. I think what I would say is she helped me because she was very nurturing, and she was one of those people she was like a European immigrant who didn't know anything about the business, but was very like, whatever you want to do, this is good, and I will help you. And but I don't know what's going on, but I will help, that kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're staying out of your business, but at the same time, they love you so much that they want to help you.
Right.
And she helped me with, and it was. I think the thing that was really awesome about it is I really love my mom so much, and I think part of the business was it made us share more things together. Like, when she would take me into the city, and I started at 10 years old, we spent time together on the train, and, I would do my homework, or, she'd make sure that I got food early enough so that we could go on the auditions, or, kind of sure. She's like, okay, you got to go to sleep because, you have big call back tomorrow, whatever, but it wasn't worried or panicked. I think that sometimes, like the parents like, oh my gosh, you got to go do this. It's like freaking out. You do not want that. You do not want to have any career with a parent that's a Tiger Mom-esque, freaking out or demanding, you don't want to do it then because someone's trying to make you. For me, it was like I wanted to, and she's like, okay, well, let's do this, So, and my father, he worked in the city. So what happened was, as I got older, once I knew what to do, I would travel. Once after, like maybe I was like 15, I started going into the city by myself. Maybe 16.
16
and I would
years
meet
old?
my dad in the city. We go on audition together, and then he took me home. And then once I turned 18, obviously, then or 17, then I went by myself into New York and went on auditions.
I thought it was impressive that you're one of your first some of the first money that you made, you bought your mom. Tell everybody what you bought your mother.
I bought thank you for saying this. I bought my mom a dryer. As in it's like in washer and dryer.
Right. That's awesome. You're such a great daughter.
You're just a great kid.
Yeah, right. Nobody had a dryer, and like she would work so hard. Like she'd wash the clothes, and she'd hang them on the line in the back, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I could see how hard she was working, and so I get her this dryer. And we were like lower middle class. And so and I was all excited and all proud of it. Like, look at what I got you. You don't have to work so hard anymore. And then what happens? My dad's like, well, it's too expensive to use because you have to use a lot of electricity.
That's awesome.
Spoken like a dad.
Just like, the European, it's like, let's save the money. So it was like, okay, I guess. But I mean, she used it eventually more, but it was kind of funny that the irony of it all was that, you as a child want to get your parents nice things, and then they're just your parents. They're your parents. They go into their own kind of logic. And you're like, whatever.
What did your mother and father think when they saw your A Last American Virgin or Better Off Dead? What were their thoughts?
This was really cool. My parents were always very supportive of what I wanted to do. And I remember when I got the actually audition for Virgin, just to backtrack a little, up until then they were very proud, and they would save pictures, and they weren't showing off. They didn't go to people and go, hey, look at my daughter, but they just saved it. They were so just proud,
And that makes sense.
I think amazed, how is that even possible? They didn't even realize how, they just, I think, were kind of amazed. So then when I did Virgin, I got the script, there's nudity in that. And I said to my parents, what do you think? I mean, would you be ashamed or embarrassed if I did this? And, my parents were it was funny because they're European, they were in America, everybody is so worried about sexuality, but they are very, they don't worry about violence,
Right.
And they were more, if you want to do it, and it's a beautiful thing, that's fine for you. It's they were more concerned about maybe violence, using a gun or something like that, which I never even came to have happen in my career. I never wound up going for action films and things at that time. So I didn't have to worry about that, having a gun on the set. But for that, they were more it's natural, it's beautiful, and they were whatever you want to do. And it was only my sister, I have a half sister, and she was my sort of American kind of, she was born in Germany, but she really got the American sort of sensibilities.
The whole culture vibe.
She was funny. She said to me, you're going to have to live with it. Whatever it is you do, you have to live with. And I really remember thinking that is such a good thing to say, because regardless of what your parents think, you have to live with it. And so if you make a move and you do something, you have to understand that you own it.
It was your decision. Yeah, it was your decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about a movie that didn't do good in the box office, but it ended up being this cult kind of following. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Is this what you're talking about?
Oh, Monique.
There you go.
Monique. I love you, Monique.
Bonjour, mon ami. How are you?
I'm good. So we're definitely talking about Better Off Dead, and you starred in that with John Cusack. And from what I read, this is one of your favorite movies you ever made.
Yes. I was so fortunate to get this film. Better Off Dead. You have to understand that as an actress, you go for auditions, and having at this time in the 80s, mid 80s, 85, getting a girl lead was still difficult. I mean, Molly Ringwald, I think, started it as well. I mean, actually, Virgin had a lead, but I was still the object of desire. I didn't have the story wasn't about. Well, it really wasn't about me. It was about Lawrence and Gary. But it just started with those John Hughes movies, where now women were starting to take teen girls, not just women, but teen girls were starting to be the leads in films. And when I got Better Off Dead, here was a girl who was capable, but she could be feminine. She was funny. And I have to say, it was kind of ironic that she has to be European, right? To be that character, to be capable. But I just loved the role, and I wanted it so badly. And I remember coming off another film, and I had played a French girl, and I thought, oh, I was supposed to audition for Beth, the other girl in the film. But when I saw this French exchange student, I just have to go in and try to get it. And I remember going.
Oh, I love that. Oh, wait, Diane.
I want to see me as that, but I just still feel like this. I went and I said, I really want to play Monique, because Monique is very wonderful, and I like her. I know I can play her, you know?
That was great. Give me a little more Monique. I could listen to that for hours.
Yeah, like read a menu or something. That's fantastic.
I just love playing that character. I love accents in general, but that was just such a fun role.
What was it like? What was like working with Cusack?
Lovely. John and I had a blast doing the film. I have so much respect, and I just so adore him. And I just feel like I was so fortunate to be doing that film with him. And it was everyone on that film loved working with each other. And it was, again, here's a film, there's no nudity, there's no bad language, and then it goes into an even more wonderful stretch of like with the animation and the claymation.
Oh yeah.
And it was based on Savage Steve Holland's life. Again, another film, Virgin based on the director's life, and Better Off Dead based on the director's life. And how amazing is that?
It's amazing.
Based on people's actual experiences, you know?
I love the characters. I mean, Mrs. Smith and her son Ricky, they cracked me up. Your interactions with them just were
Ricky.
Exactly.
Hey, it's Ricky.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, for Laura Waterbury, she unfortunately has passed away. She passed away a couple of years ago. So sad. She was absolutely hilarious. And we would do scenes together. And between her and Dan Schneider, Dan was so funny, but he obviously was understated. That scene when she squeezes my face at Christmas. And she's like, oh my gosh. Like, crying tears. We were laughing so hard. I remember Savage, the director, trying to we'd have to do retakes because everyone was laughing. I mean, the crew would laugh and we were like, no,
that's
quiet.
awesome.
We have to do this again.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to hold it together with these talented people just trying to make you laugh.
Yeah, and you know, it's just a great feeling. Every film you do has a tone and a feeling. So you do a horror film, and it's like a sort of solemn.
Oh
quiet
wait,
feeling.
speaking.
You every film has its own. I don't know. There's a word for it, but it's just sort of like Better Off Dead. Because it was a comedy, the director kept things light, and then everybody followed suit. So we didn't feel bad about laughing. We would laugh. We knew we had to work, but we had a blast. And it was great seeing the crew laugh. The reactions, oh my gosh. And, you know, him with I've been in high school for I don't know how many years, it was 20 years or something.
Yeah. I remember that. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, like where did this come from? And the other thing I wanted to say about Better Off Dead was it's a film you can pass on generation after generation because the humor got cleaned up. Originally the script was a little more racy, but I think whoever CBS took it and whatever they did, they cleaned it up enough so that they could grasp a larger audience. So what was really fun is that the college students, when this became popular, it was passed from student to student in college because that's when everyone got VHSs and data machines or whatever and was like, you got to see this film, man, it's so cool. So they would pass the VHS over and people would watch it. But before that happened, you could not recommend this film because if it was opposite like Officer and a Gentleman or something, you couldn't say that this film, you spend your $5 on this film instead of the more sophisticated film. So I think it just got to explode because we've had more media choices, and so you can watch it anyway and anywhere, and you can then now have a bigger audience to show it to. So I am just so thrilled you guys love it because
Not just us,
Hilarious.
but
I just love that film.
It doesn't get old. You could just keep watching it. It's just one of those kind of films.
it's
Right, and you can watch it over and over again, and it is like don't put your these tentacles. What is it on me? Right? Did I get it right? The tentacles.
Oh, Shadi. That's great.
You're not right.
So, Diane, I have a fun fact for you.
All right.
For the people listening, maybe they don't know this. You did a television movie called Deadly Lessons, and you worked with Bill Paxton. Now,
Yes.
I heard there was a little romance there.
Yes,
Uh,
I did. I loved Bill. I dated Bill. We did the film together. And my whole thing when I was acting or when I act is I never get involved while I'm working with someone because it loses the magic. If you get involved with somebody while you're working, you want to have that magic on screen. You don't want it off screen. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
Until after, if you like that person, And the thing with Bill was, I think what's really fun is that you see the chemistry on film, and then after, and then the other thing is, where do you meet people? You're an actor. How do you meet people? I mean, most people go to a job and they see people there, and that's how they get to know them. But as an actor, you only get to meet people that you would want to date or something when you're going on auditions or you're getting a job. So that's where we meet the people that we would go out with. And especially if you have another actor, they have a lot in common with you. So you tend to say, oh, well, let's get to know each other and maybe we'll date, whatever. So we started dating. We dated for a little while. And he's just a sweetheart. And
He's
it
great.
was great. And the funny thing about it, which is that I ran into him at a convention within like the last year or so.
Oh.
And I had my book. And he was being interviewed, and I snuck up behind him, and I wanted to give it to him. And when he saw me, he picked me up in the air, and he
That's
whirled me
awesome.
around like Ricky did in Better Off Dead.
He picked up all 5'2" of you, right?
And he rolled me around, and it was so funny. It was like, yay! So, and so I gave him the book, and I said, I put you in this book. So he was thrilled, and he was on his way to do a film with, I think, Tom Cruise or something. And
Oh, he's great. He's great. He did he did some really good 80s movies. Like he did Weird Science. He did Aliens, which is one of my all-time
Time
favorites.
Oh my gosh,
Love
unbelievable.
Aliens. So tell us some roles that you didn't get that you wanted.
Oh, well, this is a part of my first book, and you could read in more detail about this. The biggest role I would say that I didn't get was Amadeus, which is so interesting. If you look at my
Wow,
career.
that was a big one.
Yeah, that was a huge film, but it was also like critically acclaimed. And okay, so, as an actress, like you go on auditions, and it's like, okay, so like some actresses, they just do action films. Like maybe that's, or they get associated with them, or some do like just horror. And I don't know if it has to do with their, people just see them that way or what they choose. But for me, I've always been the kind of actress I am always attracted to characters. And so whatever film it is, it doesn't matter, big budget, small budget, if it's a good role, I will do it. Like, I love it. So, and this goes for even today, because I've actually have some fun things to tell you about today. So,
we're
cool.
definitely going to get into that.
Yeah.
Now you didn't get the role, but wasn't there a blessing in disguise by you not getting that role?
Was, I went for Amadeus, and if you want to read details on it, get my book. But the deal was, it was for the role of Costanza, which is Mozart's wife, and it was a huge deal. I was flown to Czechoslovakia, and it was screen testing and costume and makeup, and it was just what a beautiful experience. But obviously, I didn't get the part, and Elizabeth Berridge got the role, and I think she did a really good job. She certainly, I think she certainly put her heart into it, and so what happened was, though, I mean, I was definitely disappointed. I mean, I was definitely like, I wish I'd gotten it. But at the same time, I'm the kind of person who believes that sort of everything happens for a reason. And what happened was, after that film, I got Better Off Dead. And if I'd gotten Amadeus, my whole career would have been drama. It would have been like, because once you do something critically acclaimed, I would have had to not I would have been more choosy. I would have had to I couldn't do just anything I wanted. It's just a different world when you start doing critically acclaimed things and you have to pick and choose your projects. But when I got Better Off Dead, oh my gosh, like, first of all, that just led to like an incredible experience. I loved doing comedy. Also, if I hadn't done that film, then I wouldn't have gone in the direction which I did, and met my husband, who is awesome, and had my gorgeous, wonderful kids. And it just, and so my life right now, I'd have to say, is amazing, because I took a road and a path that led me to my true happiness. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, exactly.
I feel happy.
And
so
things happen for a reason, Yeah. And that's what happened. Tell us about your daughter, Olivia.
Oh my gosh! All right, we'd have a whole podcast based on her. And my son too. I adore my kids. I mean, it's not even like I'm one of, and maybe it's because of my mom. Like, I just saw what she did for me, so now I pass it on to them. I'm supporting, their careers, what they love to do. And so what happened was, my daughter, she's a filmmaker. She writes, directs, acts, and edits films, but she is only 20. And she actually she was in the LA Film Festival. She got a film in there when she was like she got an award for future filmmaker. I guess they picked the future filmmaker award section, and she was in that with a film called Humanized. It was like a 15-minute short around. And then she got into the Soho Film Festival when she was 16, and she was the youngest filmmaker that they had, that they selected. She didn't win an award, but to be selected.
You must be proud. You must be proud.
Yeah, you got to be proud.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm proud because, she's doing it. She does it on her own, and she's not coming from a place where it's like, all I can tell you is all my experience as an actress and learning about film and doing it really gives her a great perspective as a filmmaker. And she does comedies. That's her thing. So keep your ear out for her, Olivia De Laurentiis. She's in film school now. She's at UCLA.
Awesome.
And she's in elite, kind of like, they only took 15 kids into this program, and she got in. So she's in her junior year, and she'll then graduate, and then we'll see what happens. But but right now, if you want to see her stuff, she's actually she does work with this on the show. She writes and acts in skits for a show called After Dark with Julian Clark on it's an internet show. And so if you look at, they have like these skits they do, she is in it. So you look for Olivia De Laurentiis, or you can go to oliviadelaurentis.com, and you can look at her film page, and you can see some of the older stuff, and I'm acting with her.
Awesome. We need to check that out. We have to check that out.
Daughter and mom acting together.
So let's talk about the decade of the 80s. It's like in vogue today. Like, all the stars of that time, like yourself, are going to these conventions, Comic-Cons, all these different events. Tell us some of the events you've been doing and you will be doing in the near future.
Oh, this is so amazing. If you would have told me in the 80s that I would be going to conventions and doing signings and acting again and traveling all over the world, I would say you're crazy. This isn't even possible. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that feeling.
And maybe it's because I'm not, I didn't expect it, but I've always sort of had this feeling of like, in life you have to put out the energy of that you want that you're interested and you're open, and then things will come to you. If you have a sort of expectation attitude, like I expect this and I need this to happen, it will never happen, because that is not a very fun person to, who would want to be with that person? What happened was I was open to going and doing, open to new experiences. And I met Scotty Schwartz, who was the actor who had his tongue stuck on a pole, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that?
That's a moment.
Story, right?
Christmas Story.
I ran into him, and he had done these conventions, so he's the one who recommended it to me. He got me into my first convention, and after that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful, because I got a chance to meet people who knew the films and were so excited and appreciative of going back and with nostalgia and meeting me. And I guess it's sort of like bringing back nostalgic memories with me there. So I started doing conventions, and then from that I decided that I was going to write my book, because I thought, well, people seem to be interested. I'm not sure. So what I did was I made this sort of a book that was sort of a tester, and I made like 100 of them, and people bought them all. And so I thought, okay, if people are interested, then I will publish a book. So then I published the book in 2012, and I still bring that to conventions and sign it. Or if you buy it on Amazon and bring it to me, I will sign it for free, which is very cool. And then what I would do at the conventions is I would tell people to friend me on Facebook. But then what happened was my Facebook account got full. And so I thought, I'll open another one. But then Facebook, I had like thousands of people on the second Facebook one, and Facebook shut me down. They were like, no. And I was like, oh, no. So now I'm telling everybody, go to Twitter to Diane Franklin 80, because I want them, to know what's going on with me, you've got to you got to follow me, because a lot of things are happening. And I will not only talk about, I'll bring up 80 nostalgia, and I'll post pictures from the 80s and things that I've done and movies and films that I've done. I also like when people post anything from the 80s there. I think it's really fun.
It is. We're actually
brings us back, right?
We're
so even if it's a different actress, I back them. I love seeing other actresses from the 80s. I'm a big fan of E.G. Daly and Amanda Wyss and Betsy Russell and Deborah Foreman. I love Deborah. In fact, Deborah, we wound up becoming friends on Facebook, and she actually invited me. She got me to go to this thing called 80s in the Sand, which is in 2017. I guess it's Deborah. Right now, it would be Deborah Foreman, me, and I think Andrew McCarthy, if he's still going, and Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, that's a nice 80s lineup.
That's a good lineup.
Right. And then there's 80s bands, a bunch of 80s bands. I forgot which ones now, but maybe I don't want to misquote, but there's a whole bunch of 80s bands. And then there's Downtown Julie Brown's going to be there, and
nice.
It's going to be a week of 80s fun in the Dominican Republic for a week in November 2017. So if you go to 80s in the Sand, I guess if you buy this vacation, you go down and you have a week, and we'll all be down there, and it'll be like bringing back the 80s.
That's
cool. The memories
that's going to be awesome. I mean, you're going to get to interact with all these fans who love the 80s.
Plus, I get to see the actors that I didn't necessarily meet when I was acting.
That's true.
That's very cool.
That's true.
We were up. Maybe we were up for the same role, but we would never see each other. Like, she was blonde, I was dark, so we'd kind of not be up for the same role. It's kind of there's a lot of actors that I know in the business, but I don't get to see, except at the conventions. At the conventions, I go, oh my gosh, I was a fan of your work, and then they come up, oh, I used to love that movie. So it's a much more. It's generous, because, it's like going to high school. You go to high school and you see, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long, and what are you doing? That kind of feeling. So, but that's with conventions. Now, the most recent thing has been I've actually, and then there's a convention coming up. On October 7th and 8th, I will be in Louisiana at Louisiana Comic-Con.
Nice.
You can see why you need to Twitter me, because there's too much going on.
We're actually, Diane, we're actually following you on Twitter, so we'll definitely post all these events for you.
Oh, yay, thank you. And that's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to be there with the other princess babe, Kim LaBelle, or Kimberly Cates, as her name is today. And so the two English princesses will be showing up at Louisiana Comic-Con. And so bring your children, because we are going to meet them, and we'll have very many lovely things to give them. And so it's quite lovely. So that's going on. And then on top of it all, I got approached by two Better Off Dead fans, two directors. One is a director named Brian Farmer and Scott Craig, the two directors together, and they did a film called Waking Nightmare, which I'm have a day left to shoot, but that's a film that I'm doing right now, and I have an amazing role. So that's exciting. And then I did a psychological thriller. Granger Hines plays my husband, and it's about the final interview of a serial killer. And I played Granger's. He's he gets interviewed by sort of a journalist, sort of like a Walter Cronkite kind of a person, and I play his ex-wife and the news director. And it's basically sort of like a play, a 3-person film. But in both these films, you have never seen me play roles like this. I have busted out.
Oh,
Wow.
stretch.
So we definitely need to check this out.
You've never seen me play these characters, and you're gonna freak out. So anybody who's a Diane Franklin fan is going to freak out.
I like that.
Be like, oh my gosh. So, both of the roles are very different and totally different characters, and yet it was so exciting just to do them. So exciting, and all I can tell you is it's going to be totally worth it to see these films.
It's going to be totally awesome. No doubt.
Really.
Well, Diane, we want to thank you. We are so happy.
This has been so awesome.
I mean, we got to talk with one.
Awesome.
That's the name of our podcast, so everything's awesome. And it was great to talk to one of the hottest babes of the 80s. And Diane, you're looking great today, too. I mean, you look great.
Thank you. I tell you something. For me, I look at it and I go, why can't 80s actresses, and I've found this to be even with the conventions, we take good care of ourselves, you know? You really do. You take good care of yourself as you get older. So it's kind of interesting, and I love seeing other actresses looking good because it's sort of like role modeling what we can be. I mean, sort of.
Right.
We can still be hot.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why not, So I think it's good. My feeling for that is, if it shows good role modeling for other people and even for my daughter, that's awesome. So, I'm very happy that I've even been considered an 80s babe, or even today,
Well, what did you think? Did you have a good time on the show?
I had a great time. I had a blast.
Awesome. Can you give us a little bit of that sexy French accent on our way out?
Je t'aime. I love you very much. Bobby and Jason.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Diane Franklin. That was awesome. She loves us.
She
said it.
I can't believe it.
Well, we love you too, Diane, and we really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, and being our first. Diane, you were our first.
You always remember your first.
That's right, always.
So, Diane, we will always remember you.
Always. Again, the second thing for us to always remember you for.
She's definitely a sweetheart. You can tell by she's just a real person. And it was just a great, great interview.
Yeah, she's just, wow. I mean, I'm still sitting here, kind of like pinching myself.
I know. It's like, that's the girl when you were a teen, you're watching in Last American Virgin or Better Off Dead or in Amityville Horror and Number 2. I mean, she's been in quite a few movies. She is a babe.
She is a babe, and she's definitely legit. And, just sitting here, bud, and we're just, when you and I were just sitting here thinking about doing this podcast not too long ago, and then here we are talking to Diane Franklin.
Yep. And you know what? We have more celebrity guests going to come in the future, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We're just opening the floodgates right now. But what a awesome, I mean, we set the bar real high with this one, didn't we?
We did. So, do you have anything from our fans?
Of course I got stuff from the fans.
Some fan comments from Facebook.
From fans and friends.
Let's hear them.
Here we go. Okay, I got some fan comments. Went and picked out some stuff. Yes, I know everybody out there. I don't post too much on the page and whatnot, but I do stalk. I stalk every one of you.
I can tell you he is a stalker.
Yes, I am. And I've got the record to prove it. Just kidding. But I know I don't post much, but I do read everything you put up there. And this is my week to pick some comments out. So here we go. I'm trying to pick the hardest names possible, by the way, too. So Helena Joseph Milnek. Sometimes I think you guys invent these names, okay?
What's up, Helena?
Yeah, you guys have like these fake Facebook accounts, and you make these hard names, and you say to yourself, I can't wait to hear them.
Helena's a normal name. It's actually a pretty name.
Sorry, Helena. I'm just, I'm still on cloud 10. from Diane here. Super excited to listen to the new podcast. I will make myself a cup of coffee and chill on the couch and listen tonight. I really look forward to hearing them. It's becoming a routine.
Wow, great. A cup of JoJo, Bobby and Jason. What else could you ask for?
That's all you need. What a routine, I'll tell you.
A soft pillow, you know.
Melanie Linsby Miller.
What's up, Melody?
Oh, here we go. Okay, all right. Okay, Melanie. I think I heard a glitch or two, but this time it was Jason.
Oh, yes, there were a
What the
few.
hell? Exactly. That's what I say. What the hell? Wrong movie name, and I believe is... See, the math was wrong on the Olive Garden pizza discussion, but I'm not 100% sure. That's great. Okay, well, I am a good tipper. I understand.
It's awesome that I'm not the only glitch person
Oh, stop.
around.
You're rubbing off on me. Come on. We'll have to go back and listen again. Jason's brain must still be in vacation mode. Okay, back to listening to the podcast. Melanie, you got your priorities right.
I love you, Melody. That was great. Keep looking for those Jason glitches.
All right, Gia... Did Dominique? I know you put it up there phonetically.
What's
at one
up,
particular point.
Gia? Gia's a big fan.
Yes, and she's got, oh man, all these consonants running on here. I'll tell you. OMG, guys. I was getting ready to do the chaka chaka con thing
Chaka Khan.
too when you said her name. And you did it right when I did. See that? Great minds think alike. I always love you guys. Great job and loved listening. Well... We love getting your comments, too. We love it.
Thank you, Helena, Melanie, and Gia.
We love that you listen. Thank you.
Awesome
We do
comments.
appreciate it.
Okay, well, I have the mailbag. Do your little mailbag
It's
thing.
the 80s email bag. 80s email bag.
That's always interesting. Anyway, this one is from Jasmine Sinclair. And she says, a friend told me about your podcast, and I'm glad she did. I remember both of you from Dance Party USA. It was one of my favorite TV shows in the 80s. What I loved most was the lip syncs. I remember the Valentine's Day show when Bobby removed his sunglasses. Yes.
Hey,
Careless
Bob.
Whispers.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob.
Yes.
Can you share Careless Whispers, man?
No, I can't.
Part of my childhood, man.
I can't.
Come on, Bob.
Copyright. And she continues, I also loved Wham Rap and Last Christmas. We like those two.
We like this.
And she says also, you both look so natural doing those performances. I also remember Kelly Ripa. Oh, Kelly, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Being on the show. It's amazing to see how far she's come in her career. It is. She's doing great, and we're proud of her.
Yeah, it's kind of, sometimes it's kind of crazy to see all that. But
It's
yeah,
awesome.
It's great
And
for her.
She also says, Jasmine says, your podcast is awesome, and I'm hooked. It's amazing to see you both together again. Just remember, you have a big fan here in Austin, Texas.
Ooh.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. That was awesome.
Awesome. Love Austin, too. Austin's a great town.
Okay, it's that time, brother.
It's that time. Oh,
It's
damn
that
it.
time. This podcast will self-destruct.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom! We'll see you later, everybody.
We'll see you next time, everybody.